Let your favorite song play in your head. Picture it now. It's 9:00. We're going live. We are going live for Brews Bros number 6. And let me tell you something. I'm not sure what to say about what's happening with this Packers draft. We have looked at it. We've digested it. We're almost sick of it. But we got to get a little bit more out tonight during this Brews Bros. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First of all, we welcome you into Brews Bros number 6. We want to know what the beverage you have going this evening is while you hopefully are enjoying our program. And I have a cool one to debut. I really do. Now, I got to wait for Eric to get on here. I got to wait for Eric to get on here because this one is something I told Eric about. There's this place that opened up in Madison just this last year. And when Eric comes back to town and if things are open and stuff like that and people can go places, I'm pretty charged to take Eric to this place because it's pretty cool. It's a very, very cool place. So you, as you're chiming in and jumping on, people in the chat, tell us what you're enjoying tonight. Ben, what do you got? You got another Trader Jose's original over there, or what's happening?
You betcha. I rated Jesse's thing, or I don't know whatever this crap is.
There it is.
Ginger.
Berry ginger hard.
6.5% hard Komakachuka. I don't know what it is.
Kombucha,
I know she had
dude.
She had 2 of these in the fridge, and then like a bunch of singles of something else. So I was like, oh, she had 2 of these, so she must have known. I told her I was like, make sure you get some crappy beer to her today or yesterday, whatever day she went. So I have something to drink during Brews and Bros, and she's like, okay. So I assumed that she bought 2 of these because one of them was for me. So then I went downstairs just before we started, and I was like, hey, just so you know, I got one of those, you had that one that was 2 of them. I opened one for me for Brews and Bros. She's like, no, that's the one I like. And I'm like, well, then you should have got a bunch of those. Because I thought you got it just so I could drink it. So now she's mad at me because I'm drinking her favorite one. The other thing is, just before we went on, at about 8:15, I had 3/4 a glass of Pinot Grigio or whatever the heck, some wine crap. So I'm extra fired up tonight.
So you had
look out! One night Ekis isn't there, and I'm gonna be in Ekis mode.
I'm getting another drink. I think he said that after every Packers selection in this last draft. No, but it's so you had a little primer before we got going. That's fun. Wondering where.
Usually, by the time it starts feeling, I'm like, we're already done. I'm like, that was a waste of that. So this time I was like, I'm starting early tonight because I know I'm going to need you to get through this.
All right. Eric Dahl, where are you, man? Where are you? I can't wait any longer. I'm going to have to tell people. And Eric, you're just going to have to find out later. If I see you comment in here, I'll tune you back in. Now, there's this place that opened up recently in Madison called Delta Beer Lab. All right. And it's this guy, he was living out, I think in Seattle or somewhere and got some big gigs and really crafted his thing about making beer. I think he was in Minneapolis for a little bit at some place, started his own thing. And what they do is it's set up like a science lab, man. The desks, the stools, you drink beer out of beakers. That's part of
beer.
Yes, that's part of the gig. So it's totally made me think of Eric, and I'm like, this is we have to go here next time you come into Madison. Anyway, so to this point, it was an open place. They had stuff on tap. You didn't see other beer any places, but I found it right here at the McFarland Liquor. We found the IPA, the New England Hazy IPA from. Oh wait, Delta Beer Lab. See that? Very cool. Anyway, people seem cool there. They got the right mindset on stuff. I like what they're all about. Plus, they serve you beer in beakers, man. That's a dream for a scientist person, right?
I wouldn't know.
All right. Anyway, Rick Dahl, Delta Beer Lab debut for me tonight. Really excited. So one day to share that with you, but that's what I'm rocking. And I'm doing it in the Bucks glass. Yes.
All hail the Bucks glass.
I didn't have a beaker, Eric. I didn't have a beaker. They sold it to me in a big can. I'd imagine if they sold it in beakers, the price would be higher. But that's my guess. All right, Ben, we got some stuff to get to. Anybody else, as you jump on, chime in, let us know what's up. Hopefully you're doing okay. The week, Ben, how has the week been for you?
I'm sick of Packer crap. I'm sick of looking on everything and all they talk about is Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, and always people say stuff, but they don't know jack squat. And I'm just tired of it. I mean, get over it already. I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I'm just like, whatever, it's done. There's nothing you can do. It's over with. So, but I know we're going to talk about it some more today. That's fine. I mean, whatever. But I mean, that's what we do. That's fine. It's just like, I just want to hear people who actually know what's going on talk about it. And the people that do, as in Goody Kuntz and good old LaFleur, in their interviews, they say pretty much nothing. And Rodgers hasn't done anything except for tweet about his trip to wherever and something about watching some Ricky Gervais TV show or some crap. And that's all we got is some Ricky Gervais TV show and a bunch of guys speculating about things. And Brett Favre. Oh, yeah, Brett Favre. Don't forget about Brett Favre had to chime in on Rich Eisen's show and had to be like, oh, yeah, I talked to Aaron. And then he's like, and he's got, well, I mean, I don't know for sure. But we'll just say he was surprised, is what Brett Favre said when they drafted Love. So,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Other than that, we just been hanging around. I did find out some news today or yesterday about my job. Something might be happening there.
Okay.
Going back to do some stuff for a little bit or whatever. But
all right.
I kind of like hanging around doing nothing, to be honest. But
yeah,
whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, if my job is telling me to come back, then I'll come back.
I understand. We got Kevin on tonight, who normally is DJing, so he can't do that during our show, but we like to have him on. Thanks, Kevin, for checking it out and hanging with us for a little bit. All right, so I got some things to get to here. I mean, I'm sorry. Here's the deal, right? We had all this speculation. You got people on these different sides who are saying different things. So far, I've split it into two groups, right? There's the people that appreciate Aaron Rodgers, think he's a great player, and they're looking at it from that particular stance. And then there's the people that are basically were holdovers from kind of the Favre love and probably gave Rodgers a hard time when he first started and maybe never even fully warmed up to him, or it took a while, or he had to win a Super Bowl for them to embrace him, stuff like that. And those folks are rationalizing the Packers pick and all this sort of stuff. Now, before I jump into that, I just want to say, I'm not talking about the picks. I'm not talking about these players aren't going to be good, because I hope they are, because otherwise the team's going to stink. So you hope the players fit into the plan and the players are going to produce. So none of the information is putting down any of these players, but I think the fair criticism is for the Packers organization. They should be criticized substantially for what they did in this draft. Before we give you some reasons on that, did you happen to see, Ben, the new Cheesehead TV programming that they just put out? Did you see what that is? It's called Talking Packers with blah-blah, blah-blah, blah. So I guess, isn't that like the best form of flattery or something like that, when you've put something out there, somebody else?
I highly doubt they copied us.
Come on, I gotta hope somebody sees
it. Who's on it though? Well,
it's Nagler. It's Nagler, and then he's having like different guests on. Like he talked to some, I don't know, some.
Yeah, I saw I didn't watch
famous person, or I don't know.
He's not. He's a guy from The Bachelor who was on like The Bachelor 17 times or whatever. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, or Bachelorette, or I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, he's not. I don't know. I just saw the thumbnail and I saw, or the picture when it came on, and I saw his face and I was like, really? This is the guy you're going to talk to about this stuff? I mean, come on, some Bachelor guy. No,
that's weird.
I didn't watch it. I didn't even watch it. I was like,
I didn't watch it either. And I'll tell you why. Because Nagler, I'm gonna give you this about him. Kevin, hold on. Kevin, do you know about Delta Beer Lab, man? Have you been there yet? I'm rocking a Delta Beer Lab tonight. If you didn't catch that. All right. Here's the deal about Nagler, man. Nagler is probably one of the worst in terms of the way, the glasses he looks at Aaron Rodgers through. And the reason is he was a Packer fan when the Packers stunk. When Brett Favre came along, Brett Favre was the greatest thing in the world to him. And then when they moved on from Brett Favre, he held on to that, and he still does. And I'll tell you right now, because Nagley went on to yesterday on that thing and said, what is Brett Favre doing? He's like, Favre is a god on the football field, and I will love him forever. And he said it. And everything he does, and I don't want to get into a thing about Brett Favre, but I'm telling you, the people that are trying to sweep the damage of this away or rationalize it or say it was like the Favre thing and all this stuff, those are the people that love Favre, probably gave Rodgers a really hard time. We're in that process of booing him, whatever, when they finally made the transition, all that stuff. And they're the people that are quick to jump on this now. Okay, they're quick to jump on turning the page on this. Oh yeah, we're just going to turn the page. We didn't turn the page back when Rodgers everybody was giving him crap and not supporting him, and everybody wanted Favre to come back 800 times and all that stuff. So anyway, those people are out there. It's cool if you love Favre, but it's not cool if you treat the new guy when the team changes like garbage, which is why you and I have said, don't be mean to Jordan Love. Don't give Jordan Love a hard time on this. Doesn't deserve that. Not at all. So I have a question for people in the chat. Are you more upset? Are you more upset of the fact that the Packers drafted a quarterback in the first round, or that they didn't try to draft a player that could help now? Not just in the first round, but in the first, probably 5 of their first 6 picks are those players. Maybe all of them, other than the running back, is the only one that I think can really help now. So I want to know what you think about that. I really do. I got some cool stats for later too. But the other part is, Ben, here's the comp, right? Here's the comp. And I looked all this stuff up, I want to say, because a lot of people that are comparing this to the Favre Rodgers situation. Well, he's 35. Favre was 35. Rodgers is 36. Picked around the same area and all that. That argument is garbage. It's garbage. I looked it up. Brett Favre's first public statement about possibly wanting to retire was in 2002. 2002. And the Packers didn't do anything until 2005 draft, when the best player in the draft fell to them at 24, right? Now, Other people want to say, well, then they did that to Favre. They took the quarterback there. It's the same sort of thing. Okay, what was the rest of that draft? That's what I wanted to look up. What was the rest of that draft? Here it is. Do you know what the Packers' second pick in that draft was?
Yeah, you told me.
Nick Collins, because Darren Sharper left for free agency that year. So they said, oh, crap, we need a good free safety. Let's get a great athlete in the draft. And he started a free safety right away. And he was an awesome player. Whoa. Patrick Queen was there. You just lost your starter at inside linebacker. You've lacked speed forever. Come on, guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is also why it wasn't different. Another second round pick in that draft was a wide receiver in 2005. Then they had Marvel Underwood, a free safety. And they got Brady Papinga. They needed some help at outside linebacker. Drafted a center, a quarterback. Mike Montgomery, who was a rotational defensive tackle. And then some other guys, a receiver, a cornerback, and a guard that, didn't quite make the team or whatever. But at least it was a draft that they picked players to fill some holes and make the team better. They didn't do that this year. They did not do that. And the year before, the Packers finished 10-6, lost in the playoffs, won the division, lost to the Vikings in the playoffs. I think that was the Randy Moss, fake moon game or whatever the heck it was, just something stupid, whatever. Randy
Could have
Moss.
been, I don't remember.
Yuck. So then 2005, they had a rough year. And that's when 2006, that's when they had the good draft picks, because they had a 4-12 record and all that. So then they took AJ Hawk, Darren College, Greg Jennings, their first 3 picks in 2006. Then Abdul Hodge, anybody remember him? Linebacker. He didn't play that much, but Jason Spitz. And then some other guys, Tony Mall, a tackle later, stuff like that. Johnny Jolly was a 6th-round pick that year, and he became a good player for them too. Again, draft in 2005 and then 2006, Favre's still on the team. They're still trying to plug holes, make the team better. Hope they do that moving forward. And in 2007, just wanted to reference this one real quick. because then they had a really good season 2007. So then they said, okay, what do we do then, right? And they knew Favre was moving on, and they drafted James Jones that year, drafted a couple other players that year to help fill some holes and get themselves in a pretty good spot. Now, that's why it's not the same for all those reasons. Because in this draft, who's going to make an impact this year? Who? Dylan, we hope.
You want me to answer?
Yeah, I want you to answer. Who's going to make an impact this year? John Runyon Jr.? The linebacker from Minnesota coming off a bum knee? Like, who's going to make an impact?
To be honest, linebacker from Minnesota looks like he's pretty good. He was hurt last year, so he didn't have as big a year. The year before, he was pretty, he made some plays. He's 240 pounds. A middle linebacker. And he also did some pass rushing in 2018, the year before he got hurt. So he can do that too. Not that that matters. But as far as guys helping this year, I think both of the offensive players they took in the second, third round are going to be part of the offense in some way. Because especially, and here's the thing. There is an interview with LaFleur that I saw Larry McCarron do, and LaFleur said about Dylan, he's like, well, Dylan I'm excited about him. He's an intriguing player. And he said, but I think we got some pretty darn good running backs on the team right now that are ahead of him. So he's got some competition ahead of him. So that means I don't think he sees Dylan as big of an impact because of the two guys they've got. But when it came to DeGuara, he lit up and he was like, oh, I'm so excited to get him out, he can line up all here and there and do all this and all this kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm telling you right now, the tight end is going to be used somewhere, somehow. You must like him more than Tanyan. Or, like I said, they don't have a fullback really, right? Vitale's gone. They have a guy, but what is he? Is he a blocking back maybe on short down or short distance? Okay. But is he a guy who's going to be in there to be kind of like that, freewheeling type guy who's going to catch the balls out of the backfield, do cut down blocks, stuff like that, sneak out of the backfield for an easy little catch, screen passes, whatever. I mean, he can go downfield too if he has to. I've seen him in college. He's downfield all the time. So those guys, I think, can make differences. The other thing, I'm really getting sick. Here's the thing that bothers me, that it isn't about you or what you just said, but all the national media, all they complain about everywhere I look is they don't get a receiver. They didn't even get in the receiver. This great receiver draft, one of the greatest receiver drafts of all time, and they didn't even get one receiver. And I'm telling you, the receivers, when you watch college football, every single team runs this shotgun, spread out offense, and the defenses play 9 yards off the receivers. It's like everybody looks good. Every receiver looks good. It's not like they're that great. The defenses are terrible, or they just don't care. I don't know what it is. Just like I said, Justin Jefferson, I don't think he's that great. And Gutekunst has got a quote where he said he didn't think the receiving class was that deep this year. He also said the top couple guys he liked. After those top guys, he didn't like anything after that. So that's the thing that bothers me. And then they all say, well, and then I saw a graphic. They showed the amount of catches or amount of yards the Packer receivers on their roster as of right now have. And like Funches has 2,000 some yards. Devontae has 5,000 some yards in his career. MBS has over 1,000 yards in his career in only 2 years. That's not bad. And then Lazard's got 4,000 something or 400 something, and a couple other guys. And they showed that stat. And I'm like, why are you showing that? Because if they drafted a guy, you know how many yards that guy's got in the NFL right now? None.
Yeah.
Is there a guarantee a receiver's going to come in and be a difference maker now? No. Matter of fact, most receivers, especially in the Packer system, takes them 3 years before they do anything half the time. So I'm just like, I'm sick of hearing all these national media people complain about how they didn't get a receiver at all in this draft and how, they're like, the receiver is such a big need for this team. I think, who would you play more than Devontae, Lazard, Kumaro, MBS for deep balls? St. Brown's coming back, who I think is a very good player. And he's going to be able to make some plays. They got Darius Shepard back. Yeah, he had that one play where he slipped and the ball hit him in the head and the guy picked it off. After that, he never saw the field again, right? Well, was that his fault that he slipped on the crappy Lambeau Field turf that day? No. And what kind?
Those guys slip a lot on there. I don't understand what's
I
going
know.
on.
You think they would know what cleats to use or whatever. It's their own damn field, but that's besides the point. What I'm saying is Darius Shepard is the slot guy we've been looking for. Because when he was in there, in that particular game against the Eagles or Lions or wherever it was, he was getting open on quick outs and stuff like that. If they used him in the right way, they need to use them in the right way and then call the right plays, which they didn't always do last year. But I'm telling you, I don't think there's any receiver they would have drafted other than the top 3 guys that would have made an impact on this team or would have beat out anybody else on the roster at this point. So I don't think about that when people complain about, they didn't give him any help, blah, 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 blah. They've got a bunch of receivers. They've got guys that they are expecting to make plays and do things. And I'm high on them. I think they're good. I love Lazard. I think he's awesome.
Yep.
Funches actually could be good if he catches the freaking ball once in a while, right? And maybe he will here. I don't know. So that's the only thing I've noticed from all these different national media. They always bring up this wide receiver thing and they didn't get a single receiver in the whole draft. And I'm just like,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's fine. They weren't going to play anyways, unless it was a slot receiver. That's the only guy who could have found a way on the field, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right. That's what we wanted though, was players that are going to play and impact the team in a positive way. And it feels like they didn't do that. And I got to get caught up on a couple things here.
Okay.
Double Doink says, Nagler says Love will surpass Brady's Super Bowl wins. Of course he does.
Really?
Kevin's drinking a Hillsborough Badger Sweat. And it's a creamy stout, his new favorite. He's on his 3rd 6-pack in 2 weeks. Nice, Kevin. There you go. Eric doesn't like him going for the future. I don't either. And then Double Doink says he's not happy. Thinks it's going to be an 8-8 year. He just wants Rodgers to be healthy and happy again, but they're pulling the rug out. And then KHTV, I don't know who you are. Thanks for coming on and hanging with us. You're wondering why are we going back in the past with my recant of some of these things? It's to squash the case that when the comp about the Favre comp, it's not the same. That's why I went back to explain those things, just so you know, but appreciate your comment. And then Double Doink says, okay, Nagler. And look, whatever. I'm telling you what I observe. Eric thinks they might be doing, and we understand from the draft, they want to overhaul and change the team. And that's what we're going to get into next, is talk a little bit about that stuff. But if you haven't yet, I want to throw this at you real quick. No, you know what? Never mind. The Packers are giving out conflicting information. I have almost too many notes tonight, so I'm going to try to keep it together here. But the Packers are overhauling the team. They chose to overhaul the team for the future, for a change in offensive philosophy. That is clear from their comments. That Matt wants to run the ball. Matt LaFleur, Gutekunst says it fits Matt's priorities to run first and then have that passing attack come off of that. And that's all fine and good. It's worked pretty well, right? But it brings you to a couple of different things here, because one is, let's think about that. Let's think about Matt LaFleur, because it seems like this draft, even though now Rob Demoski put a piece out today claiming that, Gutekunst was the one making the picks and in charge and had okay moves with LaFleur, but it was really his idea for Love and some other of the picks they made and all that stuff. But his comments didn't match that after the draft. And then it also doesn't really match the philosophy. It seems like Matt LaFleur is saying, I want these type of guys, get these guys for me. And he loves DeGuara. We talked about that connection to Cincinnati. He's got a coach at Cincinnati that he knows well and loves DeGuara. But let's think about Matt LaFleur, okay? Here he is. What's his track record? And I give credit to Nick Wright for pointing this stuff out. LaFleur's track record over the last 3 teams that he's been in charge of offensively. The Rams, when he was the offensive coordinator, were 10th in offense the year he was their coordinator with Sean McVay. Then he left. They went up to 2nd in offense. The Titans, the year Matt LaFleur was there as play caller and all of that, they were 25th in offense. Did they have an injury to their quarterback? Yes, but their quarterback wasn't good anyway. They were 25th, except this year with not a good quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, even though they paid him a lot of money, they jumped all the way up to 12th in offense. And LaFleur comes to the Packers. The Packers were 12th in offense the year before, dropped down to 18th in total offense this past year under Matt LaFleur. Now, the other point I have here is let's look at this philosophy. Let's look at this system, right? Because the Packers say they want to change to a running team and all of that. What has that philosophy? Who's doing it, right? Who's doing it? Sean McVay? Kyle Shanahan? This is what it's after. This is why LaFleur got the head coaching gig anyway, because he was from that tree. It's the hip thing, whatever. We're going for it. This is a way we're going to win football games. What's happened to those teams? The Rams 2 years ago. Yes, they made the Super Bowl and lost. Last year, the 49ers made the Super Bowl and lost to a team with an extraordinary talent at quarterback. And the Titans got to the championship game and lost. So do we want the Packers? Are we going to embrace this philosophy? Because so far what's playing out is, yeah, it'll bring you some success, but is it good enough in the end? This offensive philosophy against top tier talent on other teams? So far, the short-term, couple year results don't show that. And that's concerning to me because that's the direction the team's going. That's what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to bring the Packers to a championship. You can chime in and tell me what you think on that.
Well, the thing that scares me the most is just the play calling last year. There are a couple times where I was like in the 49ers game, for instance, the championship game. There was a play where Favre got hit, fumbled. It was picked up by Billy Turner, fell on it.
Wait a minute. You just said Favre. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're bringing Brett Favre back for the Pack?
Listen, he played like Favre in that game. I'm sorry. He played like Favre. He fumbled twice, threw a pick to Richard Sherman on a deep ball that, come on. I don't know. Whatever.
Wow, that was
anyways.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Freudian slip, I guess. Whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying. What would bother me was on that play, I went over it with you on one of our Hafen Brothers Talking Packers episodes, right?
Yep.
Something. And it was they had a 7-man protection on that play. And there was only 3 receivers all on the same side of the field. And they all ran routes that were further than 10 yards on 3rd and 8. Like none of them, they were all running go routes almost, except for one guy.
Looked like the old McCarthy offense.
Maybe it was to clear out so that the guy's got room or whatever. That's fine. But it wasn't like they didn't run routes that worked together. They just ran. And it looked like a McCarthy call. It looked like an all-go call on 3rd and stuff like that. Now, and on that play, Rodgers didn't pick up the blitz. He didn't see that it was coming, or he thought because he had 7 guys in there protect that they were going to pick it up. And for some unknown reason, he looked over to the left, at the beginning of the play, where Jimmy Graham was there, but he stayed in the block. So why is he even bothering looking at the left? I don't know. I guess to try to make the safety look over, because he was probably going to try to throw a deep bomb to Devontae or something over the top, because the play was called to go deep on 3rd and 8. Well, it didn't work. Billy Turner had 3 guys to block. He chose to block. Excuse me. He chose to block none of the 3.
Yeah.
Rodgers got sacked. There's other play calls like that too, where in a different game, I think it was the first 49ers game. I remember it was 3rd down and 6 or some crap. And they got Jamal Williams lined up at wide receiver in the slot with Geronimo and some other receiver there to block for him on a wide receiver screen thrown to Jamal Williams. Not Aaron Jones on a wide receiver screen, who's way more agile, has better hands, and is quicker and is better in space. No, they had Jamal Williams on that play. And then they asked, and then not only that, there are other times in other games where they asked him, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? And he's like, well, we just call the plays, blah, blah, blah. There were times where he didn't know which running back was in the game when he called the play. And he admitted to it after the game on a couple different occasions.
Right.
That bothers me because you should be designing plays for specific players based on their talents, not running an offense. That's what McCarthy did. He ran an offense. You guys win your one-on-one matchups. No. You have this guy who's good at this. You have this guy who's good at this. You have this guy who's good at this. You get plays designed for them to do what they're good at. Hello, that's what you do. So that's what scares me about LaFleur, not all these other stats, because I don't care about total yards. I care about points. Where were they in points? Can you tell me that? That I don't know if you can, because Nick Wright didn't
points
talk about
they were
points.
well, points they were I looked it up. I think they were like 15th or something like that in points.
Middle of the pack, whatever.
But here's the
other
point.
thing that bothered me too. Okay, the other thing that bothered me.
Go ahead.
More importantly about all this stuff that's going on is that they didn't address the defensive line. That's the part that scared me the most. So
Absolutely.
next year, if you want to run a run heavy offense, to do that, you're going to be controlling the clock, right? And all that kind of stuff. But that means you cannot be behind in the game.
Right.
You cannot give up big chunks of yards in the running game with your defense, because you don't have the horses to get points back up and get back into the game again, because you're going to a running team, right?
Yep.
So that's what scares me the most is LaFleur's play calling and then no help on the defensive line in the draft. They did pick up a guy just today, I guess, who was from like a Raider or something. I don't know what he was.
Raider?
I don't know.
Is that true, Eric?
Yeah.
Conservative.
Something like that. I could be wrong, but
yeah.
So those are the, when you're talking about all these numbers where LaFleur left the place and they got better, he left the place, they got better, left the place, they got better.
I'm just telling you, like statistics can say a lot of different things, but there's a track record there. And then I wanted to point out, let's look at this exciting offense that everybody's so fired up about, and what had been the end result. It hasn't been a championship is all I'm saying. Now, LaFleur, when he took the job and when he was the offensive coordinator and play caller in Tennessee, what we thought was that he showed great ability to adapt to his players, to what he had. And he talked about that all the time, about maximizing his players, which is what so many of us complained about McCarthy for years and years and years. That was the problem, right? Didn't adapt to his player strengths. Just they got to do it better. They got to train them better. We got to emphasize blah, blah, blah. And that was a big downfall for McCarthy. LaFleur is doing the same thing right now. You don't take a quarterback that still is one of the best, and all of a sudden say, we're switching to a ground and pound style here, and we're not going to utilize his talents to win games. Like, it doesn't compute. And here's a couple of statistics, and then I have to get to a comment that Zach made and catch up on a couple things in the chat. So the Packers in 2019, they averaged during the regular season 4.4 yards per carry. Their opponents averaged 4.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, I believe it.
In the postseason, the Packers' rushing average was 3.7 yards per carry, while their opponents was 6.0 yards per carry. Now, you don't look at those two things as your biggest things to address in the draft? Like, that's high priority right there. Zek's comment, I want to get to it. He says he thought of another thing. If what they say is true and they want a running team like the 49ers or Titans, then you only need a quarterback to manage the game, right? Then why draft a quarterback in the first round if you only need a quarterback that's good enough to manage the game? Again, that's why it makes it a very questionable pick. And it's nothing against Jordan Love. It's against the Packers making that decision.
Here is why. Do you want to know why?
Okay,
I'll tell you the answer. I watched some Jordan Love tape. What is Jordan Love great at? He's got a great deep ball. I watched it. It looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's perfect. It's a perfect spiral. It's got great hang time. Perfect drop down right in the guy's hands. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
Well, what LaFleur wants to run is more play action passes. Did you see the AFC Championship game or the game before the AFC Championship game with the Titans, where Ryan Tannehill only threw the ball like 8-9 times? That's all he had to do.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And a lot of them were deep bombs off of play action. What they want to do is run the ball, get all the guys in the box, and then go for broke on a play action pass. And they need a guy with a strong arm who can take advantage of that play action pass. Not only that, I'm gonna pinpoint two games in particular that helped me believe in LaFleur. And then, of course, he had a couple games right after, which made me say, why are you doing that? Kansas City. The Kansas City game was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. They did not have Devontae. They had to use what they had. And most of it was, hey, Aaron Jones is awesome. Let's get him the ball. They designed plays to get to Aaron Jones on wide receiver screens, on a screen up the side, on a wheel route, on all different types of things. They also passed to Jimmy Graham. They also passed to a couple other guys. Rodgers threw to everybody in that game. It was all over the place. And then he had the crazy lucky pass where he threw to, he said he was throwing to Jimmy Graham, but Jamal Williams caught it back in the end zone. Hey, whatever, I'll take it. But that was a game where they had to come up with a specific plan, and they had plays to get their guys in the best way to win the game and score as much points as possible. The other game they did that with was the Giants game, where they utilized Lazard on deep play action passes for big gains. And a lot of those were play action or max protection, which was right after the 49ers game. And we talked about it on Paper Brothers Talking Packers. After the 49ers game, we were like, gosh, we need these guys. I mean, come on. They can't block guys. They stink. They can't block. They need to have either some kind of max protection and they have some kind of play action to mess with the defense, which they didn't do against the 49ers in the game before. And they did it against the Giants. And it was great. And it worked great. And Lazard had a killer game. I think he had like 2 touchdowns that game or whatever. I don't know. He had one huge 37-yarder or something deep on a play action pass. This was beautiful. Those are things that we watched LaFleur do and adjust to, and it worked. And then there were other games where he went and regressed back to doing, I don't know what he was doing. So the other thing too, I'm just going to say this one thing. I was looking up there was an interview with Aaron Rodgers I was trying to find that I'd seen years ago. I was trying to find it. Well, I found one that wasn't what I was looking for, but it was one where Rodgers it was right after the Super Bowl winning season. And he was talking about how the game had changed for him over the last couple of years. And what he said was, being in the offense for as many years as he was in, because he'd been in it for how many, 5 years, 6 years by that point, and 2-3 years as a starter, right? He had said that he knew where everybody was going to be without even thinking. Like when he broke the huddle, he didn't think because he already knew where everybody was, what everybody was doing, all the things that could have happened, and he just worried about attacking that defense and figuring out how to attack the defense. The other thing you got to remember is Rodgers last year had to learn all that offense all over again. He had to maybe learn some new technology or terminology. He had to learn new players around him and what they were going to do. And part of the things that he called for having Lazard in the game because he trusted him more from practice, right? Those are little things that he did, but it took him a while. And so I think last year he might have still been when he broke the huddle last year, I don't think he was knowing exactly what was going on with everybody all the time. Or maybe he was, but maybe he was thinking about it the whole time, or he had to think about it, or you know what I'm saying? Where for the last 10 years before, or 8 years before that, he didn't have to think because he knew the offense like the back of his hand. He knew where everybody's going to be, what everything was going to work out against a certain defense, all that kind of stuff. So that also can affect how his play and the offense's play worked last year. So that's just something I saw in an interview that, give LaFleur a break that way too. I'm not saying LaFleur is the genius or anything like that. I'm not saying the first round quarterback was a great pick. I'm not saying that either. What I'm saying is the first round pick as a quarterback happened, and I am still a Packer fan. And the only way for me to get through this crap is for me to rationalize what the heck they were thinking on why they pulled that trigger. And it only goes down to, and one more thing. If Rodgers gets hurt, okay, who's going to play quarterback? Tim Boyle's going to play quarterback? Is he going to be good enough to play quarterback? I mean, Love has got talent to do the things the way, does Tim Boyle have the arm that Love has or Rodgers has? I don't know. I haven't watched enough of him to play. I don't know.
He's pretty solid though. I'll give Boyle some credit. And he's got a year
I like
in the offense.
I like him in the preseason when he plays. So, but what I'm saying is
I told you he's their best backup since Matt Flynn, and that wasn't an exaggeration. Yeah. He really is. He's their best backup since Matt Flynn.
Hundley and Kaiser aren't exactly glowing, specimens at the quarterback.
I understand.
But those are things I would say as to why I think it's just, and to be honest, this quarantine and this coronavirus stuff, it's not helping because no one's going to be able to work with anybody and work at anything this offseason. So it's whatever they were at the end of the year last year, they're going to be 3 steps behind that because they haven't been able to work on anything all year long in the offseason. So I don't know how much better it's going to get. So if people are fired up about that, they're going to be more fired up. So it's not going to get any better.
I think, when you look at the rush defense and you didn't use the picks to address that, again, it just doesn't make sense. If you were in love with this quarterback, okay, whatever. Could you have gotten him later? Or probably could you have moved some picks? The Packers have done a lot of trading. I'm going to get a couple things here. Some people are still upset they didn't It doesn't appear like they're trying to go for the Super Bowl, and that's what it doesn't appear like. Double Doink's not very optimistic about the defense. Neither am I, because you didn't shore anything up in the middle. And teams, the blueprint is there. You just run it right up the gut against the Packers, and you'll wear them down. And that's what the good running teams did. So if they run into, and then the great running teams will make you look like you shouldn't even be on the field. And that's what the 49ers did to him. Sarah, I'm going to come back to that comment about Rodgers and the Green Bay media when I get into a couple other things I want to say. Browner says he loves A-Rod and J-Lo. So, I mean, hey, has any team had that? That's probably not.
Who wants that, Browner? Nobody wants that.
Browner likes it. It's going to be a more conservative offense. It's going to be a change for Packer fans for sure. But if you can get the effective running game going, if they can be effective at it, then you see how easy it is. I mean, Jared Goff was a very good quarterback for a year because they ran the ball so damn well, and all he had to do is play action. His guys are one-on-one wide open. I mean, that's what we were expecting last year for Aaron Rodgers, which if you give Aaron Rodgers that, like, dude's wide open, I mean, he would have, as long as they didn't drop the ball, he'd have like 80% completion percentage and have 40 touchdowns and 1 interception or something like that, probably off a deflected pass, because most of his, I want to go back and check on that one day if I get a chance to see how many of his interceptions were deflected balls, like off of a receiver dropping it or something like that, or going through off of somebody's fingertips into somebody else. But anyway, he doesn't make many bad throws is what I'm saying to the other team. He might make some bad throws once in a while, but he usually makes them in a safe spot. And then the other part that, and then Double Doink says Love is a gunslinger, maybe Favre 2.0, and maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he's a little more conservative about where he throws the ball, because turnovers are a huge factor in winning games. Now, the one other thing I think that made me really disappointed about LaFleur is that we saw, he talked about it. He talked about maximizing the players. He talked about it even throughout the year. And then now this move seems to be like, okay, after 1 year, I'm done with that. We're changing the style I want to run. And that's what Gutekunst's comments echoed as well, which then makes you
saw him say again, dude, he also said, he was an interview. He also said, he talked about Kumaro and Lazard and all those guys and getting them on the field and making them happen. Now,
then why? That's the other that's the other concerning part. Then why weren't they on the field last year? Why was Jimmy Graham still? Why was Geronimo?
That was the problem. Field? That I don't know.
If you're the head coach and you're in charge, of course you don't know which running back you got in the game, but why in the hell is Jimmy Graham out of there, and why is Geronimo still on the field? Well, if you love these other guys, put them in the game and feature them. That's the other part that I don't get. You're the offensive coordinator. You see that Aaron Rodgers, okay, he's got too much tunnel vision for Devontae Adams. Then call plays that have Kumaro, Lazard, number one in the progression that are designed to work. Give me that. Force him to have those guys be number one in the progression. Now, Adams might not take too kindly to too much of that. That could be a problem. But do that. You have that ability. And then if the player is shaking off the play to throw to the guy he trusts the most, then you have to address it. But I don't understand. I don't understand it. If those changes, how did you not make those changes then? If you love those guys so much and you saw the production, hey, I wanted to bring you to a sideline little quip. I think it was after the Seattle playoff game. Jimmy Graham, there's a little exchange between him and LaFleur where they had somebody mic'd up and you could hear it. And Graham's like, thanks for believing in me. Thanks for trusting me and blah, blah, blah. And LaFleur's like, yeah, you're a guy, blah, blah, blah. And he's giving a big hug and all this stuff. So I get you want your players to play well and all this and whatever, but there's a thing called reality where Jimmy Graham is actually not good and slow and drops the ball a lot. And you have other players that are better than him. And that's the tough calls you got to make. You weren't willing to do that to Jimmy Graham, but you're willing to do that to Aaron Rodgers? Like, I don't get it, man. Listen. The inconsistency is making me a little crazy.
I don't think they want to they're not going to get rid of Rodgers. They're not going to sit Rodgers.
They can't
unless he whines and complains about stuff, which I don't think Rodgers is going to do.
No.
Rodgers is going to go in and he's going to be fine. He's going to kick butt. He's going to do whatever he has to get done. Here's the thing. Here's a quote. Another quote I got.
All right, give me a quote.
From LaFleur. It's not exactly quote because I might have messed up one word.
All right, paraphrase. Give me a paraphrase.
But it was what Larry McCarron is asking him about Love, what he liked about him. And he said, Love is humble, hungry, and ready to learn. Humble was the first thing he said. Is Aaron Rodgers humble? Aaron Rodgers thinks he knows more than everybody else in the whole world.
I don't know about that.
Ask him.
Probably
Ask
anybody on the Packers.
Right.
And based on what
and is he still hungry? I'm assuming he's hungry.
Yeah.
But is he ready to learn? Because he thinks he knows it all. That was the interesting quote from LaFleur. Humble, hungry, and ready to learn. Jordan Love.
Okay.
You can't think that's not something, he walked, and I'm not, listen, you don't want me. I think Aaron Rodgers is awesome. But I put that thing on Facebook yesterday about Greg Cosell and what he said.
Yep.
It's the same thing I've been saying for 3 years. Rodgers gets tunnel vision on Devontae. He leaves guys wide open, doesn't throw it to them, doesn't even look to them when they're open. Within the offense, within the scheme of the offense. Now, I don't have the option to watch all these plays all the time. I got too much crap going on. But this Greg Cosell guy from NFL Films is. That's what he does. He watches all the plays, and he sees it. He called it devolving. His exact quote was, Aaron Rodgers has evolved. And then he said, well, some would say devolved into a guy who misses open, who doesn't run the play the way it's supposed to be run. He's Brett Favre. Rodgers has turned into Brett Favre.
Rodgers gives you a lot of Favre. That's why I don't understand the people that love Favre that don't like Rodgers, because Rodgers gives you a bunch of crazy, awesome plays and throws that a bunch of people can't make, except he doesn't turn the ball over. So he's like Favre at his best. That's why if you loved Favre, you should love Rodgers. You should be over the moon about Rodgers because he doesn't make the dumb mistake. But
what I'm saying is, if you're a coach and you're trying to come up with a team and you're trying to make it work and you're trying to call plays, and it's the first time you really call plays besides last year with the Titans, right? Second year calling plays, and you're trying to make things happen, and you spend. And this is Greg Cosell's quote again. If I'm a coach and I spend 18 hours a day coming up with a game plan, and then we get to the game, I would like to see that game plan run in the game. And based on what Greg Cosell says, who's a solid source, in my opinion, probably because he agrees with me, or I agree with him, but that's besides the point, is that, hey, Rodgers sometimes doesn't follow the rules. And it's probably because he had to not follow the rules when McCarthy was there, because he knew the plays weren't going to work.
Yep.
But now we got a new system, and we got a guy whose system has been proven to work. As I said last time, Matt Ryan stinks. He was an MVP, for God's sake. Jared Goff stinks. He got his team to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Same offense. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Is he any good? What about the guy the year before when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt? I don't even know who that guy was. That's how George Kittle became awesome, because he just went back and threw to George Kittle every single play that year, 2018, the 49ers. They didn't win that many games, but their offense moved, and George Kittle destroyed everybody, and all of a sudden he became a household name.
Be nice if the Packers had a George
because
Kittle,
of the offense. Yeah. Well, that's not ever going to happen. But what I'm saying is,
man.
That's so.
Okay, I got two things.
I would just love to have LaFleur sit down with Rodgers and be like, hey, dude, listen, I get it. Sometimes you're a little, you want to make sure you want to make sure it's going to work. So you go to Devontae. You see Devontae, you go to Devontae. I get it. Or whatever. Or you think maybe it's not going to work, or based on what the defense has given you. Just trust the play. Do what I want you to do. Okay? And if it doesn't work, then you can come and yell at me and tell me I suck. But at least, run the play first. The way it's supposed to be done.
Okay.
And I don't know if he's always doing that. I think that's part of the thing and I'm not saying they drafted a quarterback because, hey, Rodgers, we want you out of town. It's just, they're like, listen, we're going to get a guy. He met him. He liked him. He's got the arm strength. He's got all the things he wants in his guy, and he can mold him. He's hungry. He's humble, and he's ready to learn. These guys ready to learn. It's going to take him 2 years, 3 years to get going. But the scariest part is Rodgers probably won't be a Packer past 2 years. It's just the way it's going to be. It's going to suck. And that's just the way it is.
How did they tell Love to put on some weight and then stick him in at middle linebacker, or what?
Oh, he has to gain 95 pounds to play D tackle.
All right, I got two things about your Cosell thing, because I did watch it, but there are a couple variables in there that those guys, even if they see the game tape, don't know. One is, even though they don't know who the number one receiver in the progression is. They don't know that. They can see who's open, but they don't know that that's the guy that was supposed to get the ball first. And number two, they don't know what's in that player's head leading up to the line of scrimmage, the quarterback. And if you've got a quarterback with if you got a young quarterback who's in college, who's got the coach telling him from the sideline what play to run and who to throw the ball to, which is what happens now, right?
Yeah,
like these guys, they don't have to think at all in college. It's like, oh, the coach looks at it. They tell them, okay, run this play, throw to that guy. And that's what they do.
That was Love's offense, by the way. Every
Yikes.
play was
play
call. Okay. Yeah. So it's a little scary.
But instead you have a guy that has all this experience and was given the ability by Mike McCarthy to make all those decisions, and all the great ones do that now. Peyton Manning, a lot of other guys, Brady, control at the line of scrimmage, Breeze, lots of guys, even Phillip Rivers. Hey, even Phillip Rivers got control at the line of scrimmage, man. But all of a sudden you're going to not want him to do any of that and just run the play I call. Like, there's got to be a balance there. It's kind of crazy. What is Eric exactly right on? Eric's trying to get at AR takes care of the ball, but seems to hold off on making some big plays. Yes, I agree. Sometimes he doesn't want to. We know he doesn't want to throw picks. We know it. And at this point, at this stage in his career, look, if you want to think about him as a player, okay, maybe that's where he's a little selfish at times. At this point in his career, he's never going to catch Brady, right? Never going to catch Brady in Super Bowls. He's never going to catch some of these guys in yardage because, Drew Brees throwing for 5,000 yards for like 10 years in a row. He's never going to catch the guys for touchdowns because he's probably not going to play long enough. So what does he have? What does he have? He's had a great career and he's got efficiency. He's got incredible efficiency taking care of the ball. So he doesn't want to take that chance and throw the pick. On top of it, coaches, including Matt LaFleur, and McCarthy was a stickler for this. He does not like turnovers, and turnover margin is the biggest key to winning games. So you put those two things together, and that's why you see what you see from Rodgers sometimes. Okay. It's part personal, and it's certainly part coach message and emphasis of do not turn the ball over. Okay. And that's straight up. Now, the other thing you said, what was the other thing you said? I got off track here. Give me a second. It was after the Cosell thing. You brought up something else. Anybody else remember? I thought I was listening to you, but then I was thinking about my notes and I got off track here.
Wow, that's mean. That's mean. Humble and hungry and ready to learn.
No, that wasn't it.
I got another one. Since
Give
you
me
can't remember,
Give me another
I got
one.
a great thing. I did find the interview that I was looking for that I saw 3 or 4 years ago. It's from a show called Any Given Wednesday, which was on HBO with Bill Murray. I don't know what the hell his name was, some guy. But anyways, it's Any Given Wednesday with Aaron Rodgers. But there's two of them. There's one Any Given Wednesday with Aaron Rodgers. There's one Any Given Wednesday more with Aaron Rodgers. You want to look for Any Given Wednesday more with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, this is about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, is when this interview took place. And this is just one of those things complaining about, like, if Aaron Rodgers is really mad about the Packers not getting skilled players to help him over the last 15 years. Everybody complains about that, right? In this interview, the second question on Any Given Wednesday, more with Aaron Rodgers, HBO questionnaire, interview, whatever, okay? Second question was, Aaron Rodgers, would you rather have an A- running back wide receiver group, but a C- offensive line, or an A- offensive line and a D- running back and wide receiver group? Aaron Rodgers' answer to that very question was A- offensive line and a D- running back wide receiver group. So if that's what he answered just 3 years ago, I highly doubt that he's too upset. Like all the national media and everybody's complaining about they're not giving many skilled players in the draft and blah, blah, flippity flop. He's not upset about it because his answer was, hey, if I got a good offensive line, eventually somebody's going to get open. Now, the problem is the Packers haven't exactly been getting the good offensive line, like great offensive line anyway. And last year, they had a good offensive line for years and years and years. And we found last year the Billy Turner experiment was the weak link, and it caused a big problem in pass protection last year.
Yeah, he's rough.
Bulaga could only do so much, but when Billy Turner screws up left and right, and Bulaga is kind of getting beat, that whole right side is collapsing, and Rodgers is screwed. So he did not have an A- offensive line. And then that made the Packers running backs. Now I would say the running backs are a B group, and the wide receivers are probably a B- group, which is pretty dang good in my opinion. So I'm just telling you, he never ever, if he in his own words, he said, I would rather have a top-notch offensive line than to have all the weapons. So next time somebody complains about him not having weapons and blah blah floop, shut up. Rodgers ain't gonna complain. He didn't complain on this interview just 3 years ago. Trust me, he knows what he's doing. He believes he can make anybody a better player, and he can.
Yeah.
He's just he's like I said, he's learning a new offense. Things are changing. You know, LaFleur and him got to get on the right page. I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, this is going to cause a rift. There's no doubt this quarterback thing is going to cause a rift.
That's why it's so perplexing too.
Who's going to come in and make a play this year with the whole coronavirus thing?
I don't know.
No skilled player this year in the draft's going to do anything. No, it's not going to happen. So
you brought
a running back kid, because a running back doesn't have to. You don't think that much.
Right.
He
Give him
just
the
gets
ball,
and finds the hole.
Yeah.
You know. And then they needed the H-back really bad. So I could see the H-back in the third round. I think I'm starting to understand what's going on. It's not the greatest thing in the world. The quarterback first round sucks, but everything else, other than they should have took a defensive tackle in the first round and or Queen is what should have been the pick. We all know that.
Yes.
But second round and third round, I'm okay with. Everything else, offensive line backup, sure, that's all good. Linebacker, whatever.
I think they could have got if they wanted to trade their fourth, I think they could have held tight at 30. They could have got a great D tackle, or they could have got a great D tackle there. They could have got 30. Logan Wilson from Wyoming in the second or third round. And they still could have got a running back in the second or third round. And then
they could have got DeGuara in fourth round.
They could have got DeGuara in fifth, sixth. They could have got DeGuara in the fifth round because nobody else had him that high. Nobody else had him.
No, somebody might have liked him. Somebody else might have liked him.
Maybe. I mean, the Bengals didn't even want him that bad, and he used to play at the University of Cincinnati. It just
the Bengals got Logan Wilson, by the way.
Browner says
they also got Davis Gaither too.
I know the Bengals
got two of the guys we love that inside linebacker.
They're building a team. The Cowboys had a good draft too. I gotta say they got some studs. They got some studs.
Mike McCarthy is gonna be happy, dude, because he's got a bunch of guys that can win their one-on-one matchups. He doesn't have to do anything. He just calls his play and be like, "Hey guys, win your one-on-one matchup," and then he wins.
Sadly, I at this change and not taking the step, I believe that Mike McCarthy will win a Super Bowl before the Packers do next, and that makes me sad.
Whoa, that sucks. What did Browner
say? I cut your hot take. Sorry. Oh, Browner just says, Eckes, they traded up. Get back here. Nah.
Hey, I got to say something.
Say something.
I watched that video the other day.
Which one?
For the first time. Our
freak out
video. Yeah. I'm sorry I cut you off so many times. Like you try to say something, I'd be like, why? I'm like, Eckes, and I was just messed up. I didn't know what was going. I wasn't listening to any of you guys. I was just kind of like out of my mind.
I think.
But I'm sorry. I cut you off like 3 or 4 times. I was just like, oh my God, what is going on?
And I'll say it again. It's not. Sorry, I had to finish pouring my beer in here. I'll say it again. It's not the picks. These guys could be helpful players, and we see the plan. Okay, we see the plan. It just doesn't feel like it was the right time to make these steps. Like Zek, who I referenced one of his comments earlier, he said they're rebuilding, but it makes sense to rebuild when you're 3-13. It doesn't make sense to rebuild for like 2 years down the road when you're 13-3. It just doesn't. And you had glaring holes that were exposed by the tops in the NFC. That run defense, you needed speed in the middle. You needed a plugger. You needed a stud defensive lineman that was going to help out Kenny Clark. And you did nothing there. Nothing. And that's what's concerning to all of us.
They signed an undrafted free agent D tackle, and they signed this guy off the Raiders, whoever he is.
Now,
so
I will say, I just looked at and looking up some of that old draft stuff that I talked to you about. You know what I found out? Do you know that Cullen Jenkins was an undrafted free agent signing back in the day, 2003? That dude was a stud. That dude was ridiculously good. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but what the hell are you doing with your draft capital, man? Like, come on. It just doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense.
We said it. We went over this in the video about the first round picks. Like they never really did that good anyways. So who gives a crap? Like, just get over it, everybody.
We'll get over it. I got to say,
we got to be like, whatever. The other thing, that
I got
really
one
kind
other
of stinks. You know,
I got one other point for you though. This is about something you said. You talked about the coach, spending 18 hours on his game plan and blah blah blah, and he wants to see his things done. Who do they pay the most money to? The coaches or the players?
Aaron Rodgers.
Coaches are there to support their players, to help their players do their best. And so if you're going to have an ego battle with, hey, I want to do stuff this way, it's got to be my offense. I'm sorry, Matt LaFleur, but you make like 1/10 of what Aaron Rodgers makes. Like you need to utilize his skills and abilities and experience, and you got to be smart enough to make that all happen and come together and then bring your flair into it. Sure. But you can't disregard it to try to force feed your offense down a player with that much ability.
Dude, but if he's calling plays that he spent all week working on and Rodgers doesn't run them, he might as well just go and get a massage in his office.
And that's speculation too.
Maybe that's what happened to McCarthy. He's like, well, it don't matter. It doesn't pay for me to work on the offense all week. Because Rodgers is going to do whatever he wants. So I'm just going to go get a massage. Maybe that's what happened.
Now here's a couple of weird like one-off things to just think about. Okay. All right. Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback in the last 30 years to be drafted in the first round and not start during his first 3 seasons. Like,
yeah,
that's another reason why this.
He won't be the only one. He won't be the only one soon. Because Jordan Love isn't going to start.
I mean, what are the Packers going back to the 90s, like where you groom a quarterback for 4 years? That doesn't make sense in today's NFL. There was that other graphic. There was that other graphic that went around about first round picks, touchdowns thrown to first round picks. Aaron Rodgers only has 1, and that was Mercedes Lewis last year, which isn't really a valid one because you get him at the end of his career, and
not only that play was not even, that was another Aaron Rodgers call, by the way.
Right. That was just like, hey, I got to get this guy a touchdown.
Like, I got to get Mercedes a touchdown because I feel like it. Because the defense was there and it blew it up, and that should never happen. That was another one of those awesome plays. I remember Rodgers where he just, like, the guy was on him and he held him off with this arm. He had the ball in the other hand, his left hand, or whatever he did, switched it back, and then threw it to Mercedes with a guy hanging all over him. It was a beautiful play by the quarterback. And it was it was the wrong call. That's for sure. But that was another one where I bet you LaFleur called something else.
I'm sure.
I just like, we're going to get Mercedes a touchdown instead.
You know what? Mercedes Lewis had what, two or 3 receptions all of 2018 when he first signed to come to the Packers. I mean, I'm glad they worked him in a little more, even if it was forced at times, to work him in a little bit more on the offense, because he's a good guy. He's a good player, and he can still, at least he catches the freaking ball. He wasn't dropping it half the time like a bunch of these other dudes.
Hey, he won me a Madden game the other day. He caught a 35-yard bomb down the seam.
Ooh. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that this year.
I had him lined up he was my third tight end, and he did a freaking complete, actually it wasn't even down the seam, it was down the sideline, and they left him wide open because they figured it was a third, I don't know, the defense fire, I don't know what they were doing, whatever. But there he was, wide open. I bombed it. And of course, by the time he caught the ball, there's 5 guys around him, and then I'm talking to as if he's an actual person. It was a video game player, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was awesome.
You're right.
Mercedes got a touchdown and won the game for me.
All right, let's see. Eric's trying to slam Rodgers here, even though he says not trying to bag on AR. I think they should ride him for 2, 3, 4 years. Taking care of the ball is hugely important, but still a team game. Hubris, ego, overconfidence can't get in the way. Agreed. But again, the timing with the financials, all that, we talked about it before. Let's see.
I hear you, Rick.
Browner says the 2017 Ted Thompson draft for an A rating. How many of those guys are still on the team? Not many. It got an A. That's crazy. Yeah. What if 3 close games? Then Rick says, what if 3 close games last year went the other way? They were 10-6. Would this be the same? Sort of, because they still showed you it was very clear what the needs are and what the strengths were of the team. And they took care of the ball. They got more turnovers. Those were good things. The pass defense was a little better. The pass rush was finally there. We hadn't seen for like 4 years. But the run defense was a huge issue, and they didn't address it whatsoever. Browner says maybe it'll all make sense in 2024. Maybe. Love could be winning hand that leads a team into the future, or a siren song of erratic play and unfulfilled potential for double doink. Yeah, I agree. He's that guy. He's not as consistent of a prospect. And that's why people are saying he could be a bust. He could be really good. We'll see. At some point, the Packers are going to find out. Again, I thought by making this move now, you're saying you don't think there's going to be a prospect that good in the next 2 or 3 years, which I think is crazy to think.
That is crazy. I agree.
I want to
give
you
to me.
Because I don't know who, somebody said it, like Joe Burrow, nobody knew about him a year ago. He ended up being the number 1 pick. Like guys can develop, guys can come out of nowhere. And I told you, I think Rodgers' successor might be in high school right now, but we'll see what happens in the end. Just to squash this also for some of the national media that was like, oh, the Packers never gave Rodgers talent and blah, blah, wide receiver. They had great 2nd-round picks. They had Greg Jennings, 2nd-round pick. They had Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams. They also had Jordy Nelson as a 2nd-round pick. You know what? I went back and looked at that draft. That was the 2008 draft.
Yep.
Do you know what the Packers did? No. Or the 2009 draft? Let me check. I can't remember. It was either 2000, 2008, 2009. No, it was 08. It was 08. So they traded away their 1st-round pick. 2008 was Rodgers' first year as a starter. They traded away their 1st-round pick to pick up a 2nd-round pick. And do you know they drafted Jordy Nelson in the 2nd round, and they also drafted Brian Braum, a quarterback, in the 2nd round on Rodgers' first year as a starter.
And they drafted a quarterback in the 7th round, Graham Harrell or something like that.
Matt Flynn that year.
Oh, Matt Flynn. Okay.
But Braum didn't really pan out, but he was the high draft pick. And you're like, you finally turned it over to this guy after waiting behind Favre for 3 years. And then the first thing you do is draft a guy in the first year he's going to start. So
you're worried.
The pressure was on him out of the gate. Like if he didn't perform, they could have been like, well, we'll give it to this Braum dude, whatever. That just shows you a little bit of kind of the thought process and the cruelty of the business of the NFL. But Sarah had some comments about Aaron Rodgers, the media in Green Bay bashing him, other things happening, stuff like that. I wanted to give you some perspective on a couple of things here. These are statistics, and I understand statistics can say a lot of things, and we can read into them different ways and all this, but they are a measurement for a lot of things. And I also understand quarterback rating is an imperfect thing, but it's a scale they have to judge quarterbacks on. I'm going to give you some stats here, okay? Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs last year, completion percentage 71.2%. For 569 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, 2 picks in the playoffs. The one pick was that late throw up that Sherman ran under and made me sick and whatever, because it's annoying because he got burnt a minute or two earlier on the Devontae Adams deep play. But his quarterback rating in the playoffs last year, Aaron Rodgers, 104.9 QB rating in the playoffs last year. Let's look at some of the other big name quarterbacks last year. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl champion, 111.5 QB rating. He had a 64% completion percentage. Lamar Jackson, 63.2 rating, although he ran for 143 yards in the playoffs. So you got to give him credit for that. Russell Wilson was 107.4, a 64% completion percentage. Deshaun Watson in one game was 104.6, 66% completion percentage. And Drew Brees was 90.4 rating for a 78.8% completion percentage, which is insane. But he only had 208 yards in that game against the Vikings. So there's a lot of short passes and all that sort of stuff. And Brees always has really good completion percentage with their offense. So I'm just saying, like, that rating is up there with all these young guys that everybody's like, these are the best guys, blah, blah, blah. Mahomes, Wilson, Watson. He's right there. He's right there. Okay. And then I started looking at long-term. Let's put all this in perspective about Aaron Rodgers. Okay. And why they still need to value him and find a way to make all this work, because he is not a part of the problem. He is a part of the solution. Now they need to figure out how this attack is going to work and how they can maximize his chances. But career playoff statistics, okay? I'm just giving you a couple things. I'm giving you rating, and I'm going to give you touchdowns and interceptions. These are all from guys that are played a lot of games, and more recently, for the most part, because obviously guys back in the day playing quarterback in the playoffs, it wasn't the same, and there weren't as many games and all that. Tom Brady's career, the best ever, greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. career playoff rating for quarterback rating is 89.8. And he's had some stinker games, I'll tell you that. He does have 73 touchdowns. He's played the most games by far. 73 touchdowns, 35 picks. So a little better than 2-1 there. 2.5-1, something like that. Joe Montana, 95.6 rating in the playoffs. This is just postseason ratings. This is not regular season. So everybody would be like, oh, regular season, postseason, you're playing against better competition in every game, right? So it's a tougher measure for sure. Joe Montana, 95.6 rating. He had 45 touchdowns, 21 picks, played a little bit longer ago, probably a little more running, a little less passing. We get it. Now, Joe Montana in the Super Bowl, like nobody can touch the dude. It's sick. 127.8 quarterback rating in the Super Bowl games, which is like unbelievably insane. But he played the Broncos a couple times and they stunk and stuff like that. Peyton Manning, 87.4 rating in the playoffs, 40 touchdowns, 25 picks, not even a 2-1 there. I'm not great at math, but I get close to that. Brett Favre, 86.3 rating in the playoffs, which is close to his overall rating for his career. 44 touchdowns, 30 picks. And he had some good years. He had some good years under Holmgren and stuff like that. Drew Brees.
6 picks happened in one game. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I know. That St. Louis one was rough. Drew Brees was a 99.6 rating in the playoffs, in the postseason. And he's only won one Super Bowl. We get it. But the quarterback isn't everything there is to winning and isn't everything there is to losing. That's for sure. But they have some influence in the game. Brees has 34 touchdowns and 12 picks. Now, Aaron Rodgers is my last one. Do you think he has a higher rating than all those players? Or that he's a little bit less? Or what would you think? What would you think?
Those players? Oh, yeah.
Those are some, these are
not more than Joe Montana's Super Bowl rating.
No, not the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is insane.
Okay.
But he was playing against Montana's tougher games were in the NFC championships those years versus the Super Bowls when he's playing the Broncos and they're blowing them out like 50-3 or whatever it was. So that's why I look at his playoff rating, which included those Super Bowls, but it was overall everything. So these are the greats. These are some of the greats from our lifetime. Brady, Montana, Favre, Manning, Brees, and Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers in his career, the highest one I gave you so far, Montana was 95.6 rating, Brees 99.6. Rodgers is 100.0. 100.0 quarterback rating for his entire playoff career, which is quite a few games. He's got 40 touchdowns, which is as many as Manning, more than Brees, only 4 less than Favre, and only 5 less than Montana. And he's thrown 12 picks, which is less than everybody except Brees, which is kind of surprising. I thought Drew Brees would have more picks in the playoffs. So I'm just giving you some perspective there.
Brees only throws the ball 5 yards, dude. It's hard to get an intercepted when you only throw 5 yards.
I'm just giving you some perspective there about some greats. And the Packers did what they did, coming off 104.9 rating, postseason, 100 for his whole career. I don't know. I just hope they figure it all out and play better.
I think right now
it just seems too early.
Gutekunst and those guys in the office, they're starting to realize, like, man, we screwed up. Like, I don't even think it registered in their brain that they were like doing something that made 0 sense or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way. I think what they thought was, ooh, this quarterback, we like him. I think he's going to be great. Look at his arm strength. Look at his accuracy downfield. Oh, sometimes he's not that accurate. Oh, wait. Look at his deep ball. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at how he moves. He moves great. And then they were like, man, he's a talent. What can we do with that? What do you think we can do with that, Matt LaFleur? And Matt LaFleur's like, I can do a lot. Awesome. And then that's the end of that. And they just took him. And then after they took him, then they realized, holy crap, everybody's super mad at us. What is going on?
And they realized that they forgot that the run defense wasn't very good. I mean,
I don't know.
That's the part, dude. That's the part. That's where it, 4 point. You were a effective running team last year at 4.4 yards per carry for your whole team. You gave up 4.7 during the regular season, and you gave up 6 yards a carry in the postseason. How is that not the first thing you address? And it was there for you. That's the part that I think is going to just blow everybody. and still be hard for us to get over. It's not the players could be good, and we hope they are. We sure the heck hope they are, because we're still going to be Packers fans, no matter what. But, dude, you know who I wanted after you turned me on to him. I had an Oklahoma dream, man. I wanted Murray. I wanted to find a way to get Murray, and when they couldn't, I wanted Queen, and then I wanted Neville Gallimore, the Canadian monster, to come in and play
Queen and Gallimore, dude.
To play in Lambeau Field. Just think about that. Regardless, you pick John Bunyan's kid, and you pick like whoever else, all these other crappy linemen that aren't gonna. Maybe they'll make the team. Maybe they won't. Packers have a really bad track record in recent years about like 6th and 7th round linemen. Wolf had a good track record on late round linemen, and maybe Thompson mid round linemen, but late round linemen lately have not been very good. But
dude,
nobody
high round linemen have not been very good.
Right. But nobody would care about any of that. If you pick Queen and Gallimore in the first 3 rounds, nobody would care about any of that, what you did after that. Because those would be 2 impactful players that would help your run defense right now.
They would have had to take Gallimore in round 2 because he was gone by the time round 3 came around.
And they could have finagled. They could have dropped their 4th in and got 2 second-round picks.
Well, then they would never got Queen, because Queen would have been gone to the Ravens. We watched it. I watched us live again the other day. We all thought they were moving up to get Queen. We thought it was they were getting, and I didn't realize we were that excited about it. And then watching it back, I was like, oh my God. I called it. I was like, oh, I think they're gonna do something dumb. I said that. I said, this is like Christmas. Oh, I'm worried they're gonna do something dumb. And then they did. Whatever.
Sarah Andrew, Sandrew. Is that a thing? No, probably not good. They say maybe they were talking to Chris Roth, maybe. And then if you live in the Green Bay area, you know who that is.
Hey, I got a question.
Draft. And Double Doink, hold on. Double Doink says it really doesn't make sense unless LaFleur and Goody really don't want Rodgers around 2 years max. And that's what it seems like. I mean, and there's ego with all those guys, and they want to put their own stamp on it. Because right now, if the team wins a Super Bowl this year, next year, who's going to get the biggest credit for it? Aaron Rodgers, right? Now, those dudes are going to benefit from it by job security, another contract, all that. But in the end, when people remember it, are they going to remember Goody and LaFleur? Or are they going to remember Aaron Rodgers won another Super Bowl? And that's a human thing. That's a human thing. So it's not right, but it's human. What do you got?
I got a question. Are we doing Hafen family games tomorrow?
I'm not sure. It's going to be really nice. And I might make a fire in the backyard and do some other work.
Just wanted to know, because I didn't know if I have to be free or not.
Oh, Sarah. So Sarah, I gave those Rodgers statistics based on your comment as well, to give people a little perspective on how damn good he is and has been for a really long time. And I just don't want to. The guy dealt with, here's the facts, right? The guy dealt with so much garbage leading into his career and his time in Green Bay. I just don't want to see him deal with a bunch of garbage on his way out of Green Bay. I really don't. It's just not fair.
Gonna have to.
And the other part is he handled that crap situation as well as anyone could handle it. And now you're going to make him, like, that'll help him understand it better. And then also help him, I think, say, like, I don't want Packers fans threatening Jordan Love's life like they did to him. There were Packers fans that threatened his life. And like, it's not serious, but it's still, they made threats. It's just dumb. And people that booed him and people that all this stuff over and over again. I mean, show the guy some love. And if it's going to be a transition in 2 years, try to be a little understanding in the meantime, because think about what he went through. And now he's got to go through more garbage on the way out. Like, I hate it. And the other sad part, this is what I thought about. I was in the shower today. Not that anybody wants to picture that, but when I was in the shower,
you finally took a shower, huh?
Yeah. But what I thought about was and I'm a little selfish, right? I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers throw his 500th touchdown pass as a Green Bay Packer. I wanted to see it. And then the Packers would be the only franchise in NFL history, and this would be hard to match, to have two quarterbacks throw 500 touchdown passes for their organization. How freaking awesome would that be? And the Packers likely just threw that away. And that makes me sad too. So I'm trying to get over all this stuff. I really am. But I'm hopeful that a Super Bowl comes in the next 2 years. I hope Rodgers tears it up. I hope the team is good. And I hope that whatever happens after 2 to 3 years down the road, if Aaron Rodgers continues to play and goes somewhere else, I hope he wins another Super Bowl there too. I really do, because I think he deserves it for all the crap he's dealt with and all the time he's put in at the Packers organization. You don't think so?
I don't agree with that last part. I don't want to win a Super Bowl someplace else.
What if you could win one for the Vikings? The Vikings could finally win one.
No.
They tried again.
The Vikings could have won a Super Bowl if they would have signed Matt Hasselbeck after the Seahawks let him go. But they didn't. They were dumb, and then they didn't win one. Matt Hasselbeck is the perfect quarterback, period. End of story. Everybody knows this because he'll run your system. He can make all the throws. He's super smart. He's good enough to read the defense, get to the open guy, and do the right thing. And he got screwed by the refs. Screwed by the refs. They gave the dang Super Bowl to Bill Cowher just because. Why? Because they give Bill Cowher a Super Bowl? He didn't deserve no Super Bowl, especially not that Super Bowl. Mike Holmgren should be the only head coach who's won 2 Super Bowls, 2 different teams. But instead, he got screwed by the refs so that Bill Cowher could win his damn Super Bowl. Really? Really? And Jerome Bettis can get a Super Bowl in his hometown? Dumb. And now, the worst part is, you know who the first head coach is that's going to win 2 Super Bowls and 2 different teams? Mike McCarthy. Because the freaking Cowboys are freaking stacked. Mike McCarthy.
They had a great draft.
He's got a great type of coach. Is going to be the first head coach to win 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams. Watch. And that is sad.
And then Mike McCarthy they'll say that Mike McCarthy was the reason the Packers won. He's a genius.
They might. It's scary. Dude, they got CeeDee Lamb and they got freaking Neville Gallimore. 2 first-round talents in the first and third round. I don't even know who they got second round, like a corner or something. Oh, yeah, they got Diggs, the corner.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, you know, starters. They got 3 freaking starters in the draft. The Packers got 0 starters in the draft. Who's happier, Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers? I think Mike McCarthy's happier.
Mike McCarthy got paid $9 million not to coach any team last year, and now he walks.
Yeah, but he had to live in town and watch his poor kids go to school and have all the other kids say, "Your dad's got fired from the Packers." That sucks. Like I feel sorry for Mike McCarthy's kids.
But they gave you a lot of money. They gave him a lot of money. Yeah, well. So I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
It's a little almost
done here.
It's a little scary moving forward, but let's hope that. But you know what? Whatever. I mean, I'm just saying, Mike McCarthy, whatever, man. If he finds a way to make it work, and if he brings the Cowboys their first Super Bowl since Barry Switzer, Barry Switzer can win a Super Bowl. I mean, come on. Mike McCarthy's better than Barry Switzer, right?
Yeah.
All right. You guys all take care. Have a good weekend. I'm sorry. I promise next time, no more of this. We're done with this. We're moving on. I don't know if we'll do a show for sure next week unless there's something really to talk about. But the only bummer is I really wanted to see Jerry Jones keep squirming because he's so good at it. It's so fun to watch that guy just get upset and squirm. But Double Doink says we need an owner like Jerry Jones who's on his deathbed and wants one more Super Bowl bad, wants to go for it. But who knows? Maybe Gruden and the Raiders will pull it off. Eric, we're hopeful for you, man. We're hopeful for you. Maybe the Raiders will do it.
I heard a lot of people suggest Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Raider in 2022. That's what I heard.
I would love it. Do it. And then the Raiders can finally win. With Chucky gets another one. He'd only be in the 4th year of his 10-year, $100 million coaching contract at that point. So he's got plenty of time. And
3rd year, 5th year.
Whatever. I'm not good at math. I already said that before. And Rodgers, I'd love to see Rodgers win another Super Bowl. And Las Vegas would go crazy. They party for like 10 years, or at least several hours or several nights without sleep. So everybody take care. We hope we hope it all makes sense in the end. I just think, I think we're going to have to lean on the dudes we got. That's it. And that's what the Packers are banking on too. And the other big thing is we're banking on Christian Kirksey. Come on, Iowa power, Hawkeye power. Christian Kirksey, be the man this year. Because if he stays on the field and is dynamic, he could help clean up that run defense a lot. So, all right. Peace out, everybody. Ben, take care of yourself. Everybody else, take care of yourselves. Be safe and stay well.